I am sure sports. You know me there. I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick Nick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices, add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
All right. Welcome back to the channel, people. I am Management, and this is I Am Sure Sports. All right. I see we call him Stan Cranky, but my guests call him a different name, saying, Management, you need to change the introduction. We're not in those team class that you noted. Come on, man. I am speaking it into being. We will get there one day. Just give us some more years. Maybe we will not be on the earth at that time, but it is possible, Mr. Cranky. All right, but welcome back to the channel. I am Management as usual. Once you come on, we ask you to hit that like button. If you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the platform. Also remember to share the content because sharing is caring. All right, I am happy today because Manchester United played against Leeds and the game ended in a 2-2 scoreline. So they have played a couple more games than Arsenal, and so I am happy because the Manchester United fans are giving me a very hard time after I lost our game to Everton. But I have some very, very special guests with me this evening. All right, they are all the way in the United Kingdom, which means, it is minutes after 10, and they have a whole barrel full of coffee to keep them up for this stream. So this is going to be good, right? This is Arsenal. They're from Arsenal 101. He's Apollo 101, right? He is in the All or Nothing Arsenal. He's part of that production by Arsenal Football Club. And we have Tony, I think it says AK Pugilist. Tony is here as well. It's going to be good. We're going to talk about Manchester City. I'm going to pick their brain about Mason Greenwood, about the new bid that are here being made by some people from out of Qatar to purchase Manchester United. Manchester United fans, they curse City, they curse Chelsea, they curse Newcastle, but now they have major investment coming in. I wonder if their position will change. But I don't want to waste any more of your precious time. I'm going to invite my friends to come on and share with us. So this is Apollo and this is Tony. Friends, welcome.
What's going on, guy? I just want to say that is the coolest entrance that I've ever seen on a YouTube video. I was hyping up, I was dancing, skanking, and boy, it made me feel hungry. I want some jerk chicken now. Yeah, welcome, people. Nice one, everybody. Nice one.
Yeah, big up everybody in Jamaica. Big up everyone all over the Caribbean. Big up people all over the world. Yeah.
All right, so there you go. So listen, Apollo, I mean, just take some time, tell the people a little bit about you, and same thing for Tony. Just let the people know that he talks about jerk chicken, so you know that he has some Jamaican roots. Then Tony said all over the world, so you know that he loves Jamaica, but there's not a lot of Jamaican roots right there, right? So just hear from Apollo, and then we hear from Tony as they share a little bit about themselves.
Right, so I'm heading up 101 on Arsenal YouTube. So I've been doing that for 3 years. The Facebook page, I've been working on that for about 8 years now. So fully bedded into Arsenal, been a fan since 1978. So, been around the block and back again with them. Love what I do with that, and I think it's awesome. Jamaica roots. My family's from Hanover, Claremont, Lucy. Big shout out to everybody in Lucy. Big up the football team in Lucy, who I used to see go and play down there. So enough respect to everybody down there. So yeah, but I got family all over there. Kingston, Ochi, got family all over there. St. Elizabeth, everywhere. So right. Yeah, just shout out to everybody back home, man.
Awesome. Tony, talk to us.
Okay, well, I'm Tony, aka the Pugilist Boy. Pugilism, for those of you who don't know, is the art of boxing. I am a big boxing fan. That's my number one sport. Football is my second love. But as you can see behind me, that team there on the wall of fame is my favorite team, the Arsenal. And my good friend up here, Mr. Apollo, is one of my best friends from school. We've been friends for over 40 years now. Our love of Arsenal has taken us a long way. We, started the 101 podcast together. We've seen it grow, and yeah, we're just pleased to be here today. I'm not Jamaican. My heritage is Guyanese. So all the big up people are from Georgetown, Guyana. Big up.
I don't know if the Guyanese do these kind of things as a Jamaican thing. I understand. So the Liverpool fans are already complaining. So it's beer Arsenal fans that have.
Well, you're gonna have a lot more Arsenal fans because I've just shared the video to all the 7,000 subscribers on 101 on Arsenal on YouTube. So they're now clicking in to that link that I sent them coming into this video. I can see a couple of you like there. Shout out to Rich Poe Sports. Shout out to KS. Shout out to all of you lot, man. Big up 101.
Yeah. Demo Dre 9 is a Liverpool. He's probably one of the most ardent Liverpool fans on the stream. He gives us a warm time. And this is Jason. Jason is from Real Madrid. Yes, it's actually an Arsenal convention, right? So we great to say that. But go ahead to Apollo.
Yeah, no, I was going to say to Jason, we actually do a Premier League show, which Tony heads up on a Friday evening. So if you guys are from different teams in the Premier League, hook into the show on a Friday night, UK time, 10 o'clock. And then we talk about all the results. We do previews and reviews for all the other games and pick up the big topics. No doubt tomorrow is going to be a big conversation and topic, which we're going to cover today as well.
Yeah, all right. We have a very mixed panel as well. So we got guys who represent various different clubs in the Premier League. So it's not a one-sided Arsenal forum. It's a very mixed bag. And it's very lively, very fun.
Yeah. All right. So let's just get into some of this. Like the first thing I want to talk to you guys about, just, so you can help us, because we're here. We see stuff in the newspapers, but we are not as entrenched in what is happening there. But Mason Greenwood, all the charges have been dropped. Does he get back into the Manchester team because he was just suspended, meaning he still has a contract? Is there still a space for him in even the English team? The Three Lions going ahead?
So, do you want me to cover this first, Tony, and then
Yeah, go ahead.
You can go on. So, having talked to a few football agents today that I'm well connected with, the one thing that we have to understand is these charges and the drop of the charges were all fortified by the FA. Nothing to do with Man United. So now the FA have gone through that process, charges are dropped, they're done. They're out of the question, everything's moved on. The process now is that Manchester United will carry on with their internal process to find out what they're going to do. So this thing isn't finished. It's not over. We already know that sponsorships, Nike and all of them have pulled away from him. So he's lost everything. We already know that that's happened. But this isn't over yet. There's still some legs left in this story to run because United haven't figured out what they're going to do. They've made a club statement already in terms of they recognize the decision has been dropped in terms of the prosecution, but they've also said that they will now conduct their own investigation before determining the next steps. So what that means for me, how I read that, is there's always small print in a contract, and contracts are binding. And we know what the word gross misconduct means. And if they find that this is under gross misconduct, then they are within their means to terminate his contract. And then that would be the end of it.
Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really comment any further than what Apollo has said. He's got some great intel with some of the agents that he's in communication with. You know, the gross misconduct thing is something I've seen many a time through my career in corporate, in the corporate world here in the UK. And quite simply, it means, you know, if you are guilty, then you really don't have a shoulder to stand on. There are things called tribunals where people can go and appeal against those decisions. But generally, with the gross misconduct thing, if you're found guilty of such a charge, it's very unusual that you can overturn a company or organization's decision to terminate your employment with that company.
Yeah, but I mean, not in the immediate, but given what has happened with him, have there ever been a player who have gone through stuff like this and still represented the Three Lions? And is there hope for Mason where that is concerned?
Yeah, I don't think, I can't remember off the top of my head that anyone ever coming back from something like this. I mean, we're talking about the Premier League. There's been crimes committed in various sports where players have gone to jail even and made it back. One of the most famous is Michael Vick, who played for the Atlanta Falcons and went on to play for Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. He came back and actually came back stronger. But the reason why that worked is because he said, I served my time. And the problem with these things is if you're wrong, you're wrong. You admit you're wrong, you put your hands up, you take the punishment. That's exactly what he did. He went through the process and nobody could complain then because what could you say? He already did his time. It's a fair judgment. The problem with Mason Greenwood is, you know what was happening in terms of the Me Too movement, and women are being protected now. Women are a big part of our sports, guys. There used to be 20 years ago, 6% of fans were female. Now it's 20% of fans in the Premier League are female. That's 1 in 5. That's huge. That's quadrupled over 20 years. So you have to take women serious. And they're not going to sit well with this because they know money is exchange hands. Behind closed doors, they know how it works. And they're not going to be happy if he's brought back into the game. They're not going to be happy. Nike know this. That's why Nike pulled out. Man United know this. That's why they're furthering the investigation. Women will not settle for this. If he comes back and plays football at the highest level, he would be unbelievably revered among his peers and female fans, the media. It would be an absolute, it would be an abomination of the game. So I don't really see anything happening. I'd be surprised if it does. I've been wrong before, but in my knowledge, when these things happen, and it's never happened, this is unprecedented to the Premier League. But I just can't see it happening.
So I want to put a caveat in that because it's kind of like the murky underbelly of sport, that sportsmen and women are intrinsically linked. You know, very, very famous footballers, basketballers, you name it, sports personalities who make decent money, are in the public eye, will very often find themselves entrenched in some kind of issue with women. The most recent would be Ime Udoka, the head coach of the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, where he is currently still employed by the Boston Celtics. Yeah. Don't forget, Ryan Giggs was involved in a pretty gruesome piece of work that happened with him, and it, you know,
Benjamin Mendy from City was recently going through something similar.
absolutely, yeah. And then of course Wayne Rooney, who is was England's top scorer. You know, he's been found foul of relationship issues. So the whole murky water between sportsmen and the public is something that we've seen over and over in time immemorial. Tiger Woods, etc. You know, Tiger Woods had the whole thing thrown at him, the whole gamut. They threw the whole, sink out the kitchen and literally took everything away. But he's managed to recover. So I do not believe that this is career ending. I think he can come back. He can come back. Whether he's good enough to play for England, I don't think he is. And I think England would just be best suited steering clear of Mason Greenwood. I don't see him coming back to the heights that he had previously, having spent as long as he has away from the game.
I think that's important. There's one thing that Tony raises, which is a very important point, is most of the players that he's mentioned were some of the best in their sports, which means you got into.
Sorry, Apollo. Just to add, just quickly. Also, they had a different complexion. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But most of the players that he mentioned, they were at the top of their level in sports. So the franchise had some kind of reason to save them, to protect their brand. We've seen names that are out there who were in trouble, who was not so protected, and that's because, look, why would you protect someone who's not that big to our team, or who doesn't draw in the tag of the best player in the team or the one of the country's top players? So I think with him, one can say, yeah, he's a young talent, hasn't really proven himself at the top level yet, but that's all he is. He's a young talent. He isn't at the upper echelon of the league, of the football league in terms of players.
And he wasn't before this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a good point from Tony, but I'd like to see if they go out there and protect him, because we know they're looking at another striker. So we know they're in the market. They're in the market for a lot of strikers right now. So if they bring somebody in, it says all it does really about Mason Greenwood.
All right. Yeah, that good one. Good. Love that. All right. So we also have been discussing what Chelsea is doing since Todd Bowley has purchased them. Now, we are still unable, for most of us in the Caribbean, to make sense of all this spending. I know people say that nothing is wrong. What they have done is found a way of extending the payment over a longer period of time, so they are not paying all the monies upfront per se, right? That makes sense. But isn't this a part of what FIFA in general and UEFA are trying to get rid of, where players are held in a situation where they could want to leave but have this very long contract? They can't come out of it because of how the initial purchase was done, and then the club can't get out of the contract down the road. But I've heard many persons, even on TalkSport, as you listen, where they're suggesting that nothing should be done because Chelsea is doing what is right. But something being right don't mean it is wise. What is your take on all of this Chelsea matter?
Well, firstly, we understand, and this ties into the Man City, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But there's always been loopholes because the people that write these rules are not the very smartest people in the world. It's the smartest people in the world who take the rules and find loopholes. And once you find a loophole, you're literally going into a point where you're undoing all the work that they've been trying to do in the first place. Remember, FFP has been really brought in so that teams will be able to spend within their means. So we don't see another Portsmouth, or we don't see another Leeds, or we don't see another what happened to the old Wimbledon and things like that. So when you do something like this, sure, fine. Chelsea might get away with it by bending the rules, which is exactly what they're doing. But then it's a copycat league. So when one person sees someone do something, get away with it, they think, okay, it's fine. They got away with it. This is a way how we can get it done. So then everybody starts to follow. And then if you do that, you've opened up a can of worms to where teams it could be a disaster for them in the long run. And I'll explain what I mean. When you have a team that's got a lot of money, and you have a lot of money at the top end, so you're getting Champions League, you're getting sponsorship, you're getting all this commercial business, you can roadmap your success and your spending, like Arsenal. A lot of people don't know, Arsenal are in the red. They've been in the red for a long time since COVID. But because they have these new contracts kicking in next year with the stadium rights, Rwanda, Indesit, all these other deals, the Adidas deal was officially supposed to end next year, but they signed last year an escalator. That means that the new escalator goes up to 2030. That's an extension of 6 years, but it's a rolling 6 years. So if the team does well, Arsenal will earn more than the 60 million, would go to 75 million, 90 million, and so forth. So that deal Arsenal's got that ties in Adidas is brilliant, because the better they do, the more money they earn. My point is this: you can guide your spend and stretch it out over those 5 years and adjacent to how much money you know is going to come in. The problem with what Chelsea's done is 48 million of that money in a year is from the Champions League. And look at their league position. So there are scenarios with this thing, exactly. So there are scenarios where this thing can go extremely wrong, because all of a sudden your wages, remember, your wages accumulate for 65% of the team's earnings. So Chelsea's wages and salary have gone up by 80 million. Arsenal's have been reduced by 60 million because of the stuff they've done with Aubameyang and all those players. And Lacazette. So Chelsea are getting into a very dangerous scenario, and this is probably not well thought out by them because they're desperate. Yeah, they want the team to do well. They want the best players. They want to show the fans that they're in it to win it. But the problem with them is if this goes bad and sponsorship goes down, earnings will go down from lack of Champions League.
Qualify for the Champions League, right?
Correct. And not just that, but where are they going to finish in the Premier League? That makes a difference as well, because when you're first, you'll earn another 20 million more than you would when you're eighth. So everything has a scaling factor to it. My point is that if anyone tries to copy them and they don't have that roadmap worth of money, they can find themselves in some serious problems where nobody would be bailing them out. So it's dangerous for Chelsea. But we know UEFA is saying that they're going to close the loophole. They haven't done it yet. They said that they will. What that means to us is instead of 7-8 years, they're going to cap it at 5 years, which I think is the right thing to do. But it's not done yet.
Okay, so will Chelsea, seeing that Chelsea used the loophole to create all of these 8 years scenario, say they change it next year to 5, Chelsea still get their 8 years?
Yeah, because it's a binding contract, and it was done before the new regulations was come into play.
Yeah, and there are many comments coming in. So as you see them, if you feel like you want to respond to any one of them, you can go ahead and do that. But what are you in agreement with that, Tony? In terms of
I mean, pretty much. I mean, the Chelsea scenario has got so many complicated issues about it. And without really getting into and delving into all of their finances, it's very difficult as an outsider to understand exactly what, where, how, etc. Years down the line, you might find that they're in a situation like Man City because they've done something wrong. But as it sits right now, they appear to be doing what they're doing using, as Apollo said, loopholes in the laws. And if they got away with it, well, fair play to them. I mean, I'm jealous because they have spent a lot of money this last year in the summer and the winter transfer window. Money which it just baffles me how they've managed to get away with doing that. It's it was horrible the first time when Abramovich came and started spending that kind of money. It's even more.
That's what started
despicable now.
Yeah. Which is what Tony Apollo was saying earlier about it's a copycat league, because remember now what we're seeing is that Leicester City was purchased by billionaires. We see that with Manchester City. We see that with well, I don't know how wealthy Todd Bowley is, but we see Liverpool could be purchased as well, because there is plans or there is the conversation about billionaires, Arab billionaires buying it. You see the Manchester City situation. You have the Newcastle ownership change already. Is this dangerous for English football, because the teams are no longer like owned by, I don't know if this is how it works. You feel like the teams are owned by the communities that they were in some part. The community, as I say. Now you have all of these billionaires coming in. I mean, is that like getting rid of the local people in terms of leadership in the clubs, and this could, in the long run, because these guys will not probably exist forever, affect the overall product of the EPL and English football in general?
I mean, my feelings on this, if I could take this one, Apollo, is that ultimately football is a tribal sport, as many sports are, whether it be cricket and basketball. You're going to support your local team in most cases, or you're going to support somebody who's local to you. And that's where football is based. It's based around its fan base. Okay. There are very few teams where their fan base doesn't exist literally within a 10-mile radius of their local stadium. Manchester United are possibly one of the few exceptions to that rule. But most other teams, their core fan base is based within a 10-mile radius of their home stadium. Because of that, I don't feel like anything anybody does with an ownership issue is going to affect those fans. Yeah. There's a famous case with a club called Wimbledon, Southwest London club. They moved the club to Milton Keynes, completely different area.
Yes.
Yeah. And now you have two teams, because the people of Wimbledon no longer had a team, so they formed a new team, and they started from the bottom, and they raised that team up, and now they compete in the same team as the team that went away, and you've got two teams, a Wimbledon team and an MK Dons team. Obviously, this is somewhat common in American sport. Teams have left one city, gone to another city. The LA Raiders moved from LA, they went to Oakland, now they're in Las Vegas. So these things happen, but fan bases are tribal. I remember being asked the question the other day, if all the players from Arsenal went to Tottenham, would I become a Tottenham fan? Well, no. Arsenal is the team I support, not the players.
Yeah.
But that's the key.
Yeah.
The fans will always support their team, regardless of who comes in and who goes out. The finances and the ownership issues, they can come and go.
I see Bertram here saying that construct has changed, and it's changing given the global reach of the EPL. You probably have more Arsenal fans when you add all the fans across the world together than you have in London.
I just want to touch on a point about Todd Boehly in terms of what game he's playing, and not just what game he's playing, but where the Premier League is going. The Premier League now, as it stands, signed the biggest sports deal, 5.1 billion. That deal ran out 2 years ago in COVID, and it was extended, but at the same price. So they're essentially making the same amount of money. But that deal is going to be over next year. So a new deal is coming. And just to let everybody understand how much money is going to come into the game, the Super League, which failed, was going to bring in 3 times more. I repeat, 3 times more. That's 15 billion. That's what the Super League was going to be worth, which to the teams that was going into it, they would have tripled their earnings overnight. Yeah. And that meant that you could buying Mbappe, buying any player would just be the advantage against everybody else in your home leagues and domestic leagues would be completely unfair. But my point is this. Todd Boehly knows this. And that's the reason why he's doing what he's doing right now, because there is money that is going to come into the game that is going to be unprecedented. Todd Boehly, I just want to make some facts clear. Chelsea is not owned by Todd Boehly. It's not his team. Yeah? He raised the consortium in order to buy the team. Todd Boehly is worth, I'm going to talk dollars because we have Jamaica, America, and everything in the house. Yeah? So I'm going to talk US dollars. Stan Kroenke is worth $8.5 billion.
Yeah, more than. Yeah.
He's worth more because his wife Ann Walton's the fourth richest family in America. But him by himself is worth $8.5 billion. Todd Boehly's worth $5.3 billion. How much did they buy Chelsea for? $5.2 billion. So the price of his worth is what Chelsea was bought for. But the joke is that the majority shareholder in that consortium is Clearlake. Clearlake is a company ownership in California. They are the majority shareholder. So what Todd is doing, not a lot of people know that. They keep calling Todd is the owner, Todd is the man, Todd is Chelsea's team. No, he is not a majority shareholder. If you think of him like a Uzunov at Arsenal, when Uzunov came in the back door and he put up that money, Uzunov was not the majority shareholder. He was just they didn't even let him on the board. Todd Boehly is that guy.
Which is why he went to Everton.
That's correct. So my point is that Todd Boehly is spending money like it's got a sell-by date on it. Like money I'll drop on tree. Yeah? Like money I'll burn up as soon as he take it out of his pocket. Yeah? But this is the reason why he's spending at this rate, because there is so much more money that's going to come into the game over the next 3 years. It's going to be frightening. And that's why they've done what they've done. And a lot of people haven't picked up on that. So I just wanted to sort of get that sort of clear in terms of who he is and what he's a businessman. He saw an opportunity and he's taken advantage of it. And if the chips fall and everything capitulates, he can walk away knowing that he ain't spending his money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Which is the same thing that this is Bertram, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
time.
I just want to say to Bertram, he's a representative, but the biggest representative is a guy called George Osborne, who used to play for Chelsea, but he's now a partner, works as a partner in Goldman Sachs. So there's a lot of big chairman heads above all of this, what's going on, that the fans don't really see.
So does this mean that they could spend more money? Or they have more money to spend, given just what you said? It seemed like they have just scratched the surface in terms of what they have spent.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, they know that they would have seen what's happened to Man City now and thought, hold on, guys, we need to look at our books, because we got happy in the summer. We saw all these prizes popping up and we would just snatch it. We didn't even have a scout. We just watched what Arsenal was going in for, what Liverpool was, Man United was going in for. And we just said, those teams are into that for that player, so that player must be good. Let's go after him. That was their transfer strategy. However, with what's going on with Man City, that is definitely sent alarm bells around with Chelsea, and I bet you right now that those guys have got their accountants trying to get their books in order for when the FA come down at them.
Yeah. Whoa. All right. So with that being said, because you did bring up Manchester City, I mean, and probably this is one of the implications of things like this happening in the league, but because I think because of what Chelsea has done, it makes what Newcastle, because Newcastle has spent a lot of money as well. Nottingham Forest has spent a lot of money as well.
I just want to cover the Newcastle thing very quickly.
Yeah.
The Newcastle ownership, because remember, the Newcastle's team is we're talking about owners, and when you look at Manchester City, their owner's worth 23 billion, which is 3 times more than what Arsenal's owner's worth. But the Newcastle consortium is 320 billion. They are 13 times bigger than Man City in terms of size and wealth. But the agreement to buy them was done on the predication that they were only allowed to spend 350 million within the first 3 years of ownership. That in terms of what they wanted to do was stop them coming in and just buying up the whole thing. So that's the reason why you're only seeing Newcastle pick and choose what to do with their money, because they are not allowed under this ownership deal to go out there and spell hen for leather. What that means, though, is in 2026, the gloves are off.
Yes. Bertram says, I don't fully understand the spending, because as a PE, you have a built-in rate of return that they need to achieve. PE partner want double, which is private equity. For those who don't know what PE is, private equity partners want double-digit returns on their investment.
I think what Bertrand might be talking about, I'm sure he's coming on the show, so he'll be able to elaborate on that a little bit. But something that has been concerning myself as well. I'm a manager at my company. I deal with a lot of books on the business directors levels. I do boardroom meetings every day at work. And finances is big for me. That's the reason why my views will be a lot different to Arsenal fans' views, because Arsenal fans think about what's going on the pitch. I think about what's going on in the boardroom. So my views are very jaded that way. But my point is that there's a lot of things that have been going on which you can see is beyond their control. And as I said, to them, it's a toy. And to them, they're looking at the bigger picture where these things, we don't care whether they go wrong in the future. If they do, we'll handle it. What Bertrand might be talking about in terms of diminishing returns is, answer me this. There's one player in the world football right now. His name is João Felix. They paid 140 million euros for him, and they're never going to get that money back. Ever. Atletico Madrid will never, ever get. They're going to lose, just like we lost on Pepe. But double that. Think double Pepe, and you're carrying that. But my point is this. Mudryk, is he ever going to be worth over 100 million again? Enzo, is he going to ever be worth over 120 million? This is the danger that we're walking into now. You know, these extraordinary prices for players, are you ever going to turn a profit on them? I don't think they are. So what Bertrand's mentioning in terms of everything, the whole package, they could stand to lose millions over the next few years just because of diminishing returns.
Yeah. Tony, listen, so with that being said, I mean, I've City, over 100 charges against them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm here wrapping my head around it. How do they come away from this unscathed? Well, not only that, because they cannot take it to CAS, which is the Court of Arbitration for Sport. And this is because, remember, the last time they were brought, when they were given that two years ban, it wasn't that they were proven innocent, right? It's not like they were innocent. It's just that CAS dismissed the case because it was too late. It was the case
Time
was
frame.
the time. It was a more time frame that affected it. So it's not like City presented information to say, you know what, all of that is all wrong. We are right. Bam. It was time frame. All right. Yeah. So now, how do they escape or present like Well, Apollo made this point that the people who make the rules are not the smart ones. It's the people who find the loopholes in it. No, these guys have $23 billion in terms of wealth. So they may be able to even afford the best attorneys to defend them. But even with that, I find it hard to believe. But go ahead.
Oh, God, let Tony go first. Tony, go on.
So quite simply, I can't see how they get away with it, because this isn't like Chelsea where they've exploited a loophole. These are illegal transactions, or these are transactions which are not justified. So you got the sponsorship money, yeah, where they're getting sponsorship where nobody else can get that kind of sponsorship. Okay, so they might get away with that one, yeah, because that can be seen as subjective. But you look at the other charges, and I'm specifically looking at the paying of Mancini. Yeah, they basically cheated the system by paying him through another bank account, through another club.
Undisclosed.
Yeah, that's cheating. As simple as that. It's cheating. Now, all of these charges, yeah, have taken from 2009 to 2018. The last set of charges, the last 30 charges, are in relation to them just stopping anybody investigating that information in the last 4 years, 5, 6 years, sorry. Yeah?
Which
so
would be
taking
from
2019 to 2023.
Okay, yeah.
To 2022, sorry. What they're doing is saying, well, please show your books for this. And they've gone, nah, we ain't showing you. So that in itself is an admission of guilt to me. Because if you have no guilt, show your books. So their inability to show what they've had going on is an admission of guilt to me. And I can't see how they get out of this.
Okay.
Tony? Right, so I just want to clear one thing up before I say what I say, just for us all to sing on the same sheet so we get the schematics right in terms of what's going on. There are not 100 charges in this case. There are only 4. There's only 4 charges, guys. The 100 number, the 100 number is in terms of how many times they broke those rules.
Oh, bro. Okay.
Yeah. So there's only 4 charges. So take, for instance, the accuracy of financial information. They broke that 50 times. The manager remuneration, which Tony talked about, they broke that 8 times. The profitability and sustainability, FFP, they broke that 25 times. And the last charge is assisting Premier League investigations, which is what you talked about. And they broke that 30 times. So there's only 4 charges, guys, but they amount to have broken it 101 times. Yeah. So my opinion on whether they'll get away with it is simply no. And the reason why is because of what my man says here, is because the rules are different with governing bodies. Now, the original court case was brought by UEFA. UEFA's rules was that, it could only go back to 5 years. So when they talked about this happening 7-9 years ago, Man City's lawyers, remember I said the lawyers are always smarter than the people who make the rules.
Yes.
They said, no, you can't reprimand these guys because it was beyond that timeline. Which brings us to now. You cannot get away with it because the FA's rules are different. This isn't UEFA. UEFA puts them in a position where they cannot do anything about it. Yeah? When the evidence comes from a certain place, UEFA says it comes from illegal sources, as in the timelines.
Yes.
With the FA and the Premier League, it states that the source of data and the evidence of time is irrelevant. It's section 162 in the Premier League.
It don't.
It doesn't matter, and it's on the Premier League's website, guys. You can all go in there and read it. I did, yeah. So, in this respect, Manchester City don't have a defense. They can't do what they did last time. It won't work. It won't work, guys.
Well,
so that's one of the main reasons. The other main reasons is the amount of times that they broke it. Sometimes, guys, when you're sitting in front of a judge and you've broken the law, you'll say, "Sorry, judge, I'm a good boy. I only did it once. I won't do it again." But these guys are sitting in front of the judge, having done it over 100 times.
Yeah.
And not only did they do it over 100 times, but you were warned, investigated, and audited, and still carried on doing it, even when you knew it was wrong.
This is no. There are a couple of things. I would say the one thing, I think everything must be done, which is a big FIFA thing, on sporting merit. So I don't think FIFA is going to take trophies and give to the second place team, to Liverpool and to Manchester United, even if they were to act retroactively, right? Because they want to do everything on sporting merit. So for me, I think even if they went back, they would say, well, from that time, we're going to charge you this amount of money for 20 for this season and charge them, because they're not going to change. And if they remove the trophies, I think they will just scrap that history so nobody gets it, because it wouldn't be sporting merit. Now, come to this season. I don't know how long this is going to take. Some people are saying that this may not end until after the season. And unless the FA finds a way to come with the sanctions. But what are somebody's saying, Bertie's saying that FIFA has nothing to do with it. But it does, because we're awarding of points and stuff. A lot of it is guided by on sporting merit.
No. Remember when I told you about UEFA's rules and it's two different rules, so FIFA don't have anything to do with it.
FIFA don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
There's two factions here at work: the FA and the Premier League.
All right. So if they are found guilty, are we saying then that they could go back retroactively, deduct points, and give other teams the title?
There is enough precedent for that to happen. The people that make that decision do have the power to do that, because we've seen that kind of power exacted in Italy years ago with Juventus.
Yeah, 15 points.
But was it? But did it affect who got a trophy though? Because I'm saying where it's different is that they did not go back and say, well, we're going to take the trophy from you and give it to this team.
I don't. From what I can see and what I can gather, the teams don't want that. The teams don't want to be given a retrospective award for winning a league where they didn't come top. So the seasons that Juventus had the league taken away from them, those seasons just ceased to exist. No trophy was given.
Okay, because that's what I'm asking. Because in like the Olympics, Usain Bolt, for example, lost one of his medals because an athlete who participated tested positive. Yeah. So they went back and said, listen, Jamaica lost the goal, the second place got promoted. And
that's right, yeah.
It just goes like that, right? Yeah. That's what I'm trying to find out, if the same thing would apply in terms of the FA rule or the EPL rules.
So, Tony, let me quickly go first. So I do have a poll up on my YouTube channel asking the same question. I said, City have broken the rules all this times. What should a penalty be? And I've got a huge fine of 100 million. Now, that doesn't make sense because money will eat away and they've got plenty of that. A 3-year transfer ban. That would stifle them to force them to play their academy players, and then they'll end up obviously losing all their best players because their best players won't have no part of it. And that would make them really, really struggle. And then I talked about a points deduction. Now, the points deduction has to be somewhere in the region of 40, 50 points. And even then, Man City, would probably save themselves from relegation if you did a points deduction. So here's what I think is the best solution. Again, it's on my YouTube channel in terms of the
Arsenal is and the channel is Arsenal 101.
Yeah, 101 on Arsenal.
101 on Arsenal, yeah.
Yeah, 101 on Arsenal. I think that this is a situation where there is a breach, gross misconduct, and that you have to relegate them. Relegation has happened before in this game. Remember what happened to Rangers in 2010 with the 49 million tax bill?
Yeah.
They got relegated to the 3rd division. Yeah. It took them years to get back into play, and they lost all their players because they didn't get enough money from that division in order to even pay the wages. So they had to cancel everybody's contract. And that's within sometimes, guys, that works out better for the players. Because if you're a guy like Kevin De Bruyne and you're only on 170 grand a week and Haaland's on 350 grand a week, and you're tied into a contract, so you're gonna have to wait until another 2 or 3 years before you can renegotiate your deal. If something happens to Man City and Kevin De Bruyne, they say to him, "Do you want to cancel your contract?" He'll be like, "Hell yeah, because I can sign a new contract that'll pay me twice more than what I'm earning now." Yeah, so there is an incentive for those players. We're not talking about Burnley, guys. We're talking about Manchester City that's fully loaded with players, goalkeeper, defense, midfield, strikers. They got everything. People are going to want to buy those players. So, for me personally, I think, and it has been done before. We're not talking about hypothetically here, guys. We're not talking about something that hasn't happened before, even though this situation is unprecedented. We're talking about the punishment. And teams have been relegated from the division to not just division behind, but way lower than that.
Yeah. Okay. What say you, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, Apollo's put it quite succinctly, and I think I agree totally. They to me can't get away with this. From what I understand, and having read all the paperwork in relation to the people who have the power to do a number of things, as Apollo has mentioned some of them. There are numerous others. I think there's like a 12-point list of things that they could do, which include fines and points and relegation, transfer bans, amongst others. But quite simply, there is no rule that says this is what has to be given for that punishment. They have to make that decision on their own. So once they come together at the end of this whole process and they go, right, okay, 100 charges, 80 of which have been upheld, so now we're going to throw the book at you. You're down to Division 3. End of story. But if they say, okay, well, it was only 40 out of 100, then, we're going to show you a little bit of leniency and we'll only deduct you a smaller amount of points. So, it's something that we'll have to just wait and see. There's a very long process to go through at this stage now. And I don't think it's going to happen this season. So I don't think it affects the way the league is going to work this season. It's not like Arsenal fans can automatically think, oh, Man City are going to be deducted 20 points this season. I don't think it's going to work like that. It's going to take so long that it will be next season or possibly even the year after, going by history.
Yeah. I really think, though, given my and that is where I have a challenge. I think if it's anything like that, it must happen because I understand that this is probably court and all of that. But how do you bring it up this season? They are charged. The case starts this season and say they win the title or they finish in the Champions League position. I think that poses a problem.
It's as Tony said, it's not going to happen. It simply isn't. I've got a lot of background in terms of court case lawyers, things like that. I know how these things work. In order to expand your mind, this case took 4 years to bring to the table. 4 years. Yeah, just this case. I move on. The charges that we're seeing now are 4 charges. That's not how this is going to end, guys. It's just not. And I'll tell you why. Because there are 19 teams in the Premier League that have been affected by this. What does that mean? I'll explain. It means that teams have not won the title. It means that teams have lost out monetarily.
Yeah.
And it means teams have lost out on players. Take, for instance, Arsenal bidded for Riyad Mahrez.
Yeah.
And Manchester City outbidded them by 15 million. It was a 45 million and then a 60 million bid, which is what got him. So essentially what Arsenal could say in court is he would have been an Arsenal player had Man City not used illegal money to buy that player. So let me round this up. What Manchester City are facing, and these are factual points, guys, they could be facing extra charges of order compensation, which is a 72 Act charge. They could have cancel or refuse registration of players, which is an order of 412 Act on the Premier League. Yeah, and another thing, the third thing is they could be ordered to pay substantial costs to other teams.
Like, for example, if I finish 5th, didn't qualify for the Champions League, and you earned all of that money from qualifying.
That's Arsenal. Yeah, Arsenal lost 42 million because City was in the top 4. So Arsenal could say that's just a portion of it. There are multiple charges they could face. Not forget the ones that are on the table right now. This could get ugly, and it's going to take a long time for it to come together.
Yeah. All right. I think Stanley said, I think their primary, he changed it from evidence to primary defense will be that the key evidence was obtained illegally, and they hope that the independent panel will be sympathetic to their case.
I already explained that the Premier League rules, it explains proceedings of a commissioner a hearing are unconfidential. It doesn't matter if the sources are illegal or not. Those are the FA rules, not the UEFA rules. The UEFA rules adhere to what Bertram is saying. The FA's rules do not. So you could step into a courtroom with a video of a guy smashing into your car and say, look, Bertram did it. And then the court will say, no, we can't accept that video as a piece of evidence. The FA doesn't work like that. The FA would say, oh, it is Bertram. Great, let's charge him. It's 2 different governing bodies, guys. So that won't stand up. The FA are very easy to deal with in terms of what they're working with as far as investigation goes.
All right. So the other big topic where this is concerned, because we're still on it, is once this investigation begins, does it affect how City plays out the season? Does it affect at the end of the season what Pep decides to do? Those players who are there trying to renegotiate with, players that they're probably trying and bind to come into the club, whether or not they are found guilty, because like I said, it may be a very lengthy court matter or with the independent panel. Do they continue to make transfers during that time? Will players feel comfortable coming in? Do they offer contract extensions? During all of this time, how does it go ahead, Tony?
I think the biggest problem for Manchester City is if they get found guilty, the minute that Pep finds out that he's been lied to,
he's gone.
He's out the door.
Yeah, he's gone.
So forget the players. The number one thing that's going to go wrong at Manchester City is the manager who has orchestrated the whole thing of success for this team is out the door. He's taking his team, and that is that. Them players now automatically are like, oh, hang on a second. I'm only here because of him. So his leaving the club would be a catalyst. Yes, of course, they'll be in a position to go out and, bring in a Zidane or a Tuchel or a Pochettino, anybody out there, because there are loads of great managers out there. But, let's be honest, many of those players are there and are performing the way they do in a Pep system.
I'm just wondering, like Apollo, and I hear that. I'm talking about, and that is when, if they are found guilty. I'm saying that, no, let's look at one of Kylian Mbappe. I'm Kylian Mbappe. And they approach me at the end of this season. Come over, we'll pay you this amount. Do I really go?
No, you don't. You don't go. I wanted to pick up on I wanted to pick up on your question. Would it affect them? This is twofold. It's a twofold answer. The answer is no, it won't affect them. Would possibly be because, and this is the most important thing in this, guys, this isn't like Trump getting impeached. The whole world won't be able to see the court case. These cases done by the independent commission are behind closed doors and they're private. So nobody will know anything about it. We will not be able to report on what's going on. And we will only find a final decision once the Premier League has published it on the website. So I just want to get that out of the way first. So
what you're saying, Apollo, is the revolution will not be televised.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Tony. But the be all and end all of it is where I think it would affect them is because if you take what happened to Chelsea, we saw what happened with Roman Abramovich. They didn't let them carry on. They sanctioned them. They couldn't do nothing. They couldn't buy players. They couldn't deal with his contracts. They couldn't do nothing until Chelsea was sold. They had handcuffs. So there's a scenario where they won't be allowed to buy any more players. We don't know, but we do know Chelsea was sanctioned. With that being said, it's got to be in the back of their mind. It's got to affect them in terms of, will they still have a football team? Will they still be playing in the Premier League? Will they still even be playing Champions League football? It's going to be in the back of their mind. So I think there's going to be a level to it because everybody was sold a lie. You signed a contract. It's not binding. It's not binding. You were lied to. Players, manager, staff, trainers, scouts, the whole setup. You were lied to.
And this is probably part of the problem when you have such a great influx of foreign owners. Because the English football has really changed in terms of ownership. Are there in the top flight? How many of the owners of the team are actually English millionaire or billionaires or running the teams? Which is probably part of the issue that we're having now. That with all of these foreign owners, like I said, it's just a toy for them, bragging rights. So they will almost do anything possible to win, which end up compromising the integrity of the league itself. Because I almost feel like there are other breaches happening in some of the clubs we have seen large influx of money. And if there are other investigations possibly going on.
So I like that. I like what you've just said there, and I'm going to keep this one very short. When something normally happens like this in a courtroom, judges, prosecutors want to set an example to stop other people from doing the same thing. And what they're going to do is they're going to want to make an example out of Manchester City. Because let's face it, City have pulled the wool over their eyes. They've pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. They made the FA and the Premier League look stupid, look pretty dumb. We took advantage of you and we walked away with all the money and all the trophies, and you ain't done a damn thing about it. Imagine that's what someone's done to you. The biggest league in the world have had their skirt lifted up for everybody to see. Them panty showing to everybody. Yeah? But the bottom line is they need to be set an example of so that everybody can be told, you cannot do this. Yeah? And look, other leagues, other sports have failed at doing that. Look at Red Bull. Red Bull cheated Lewis Hamilton. They weren't even punished. So with the FA, I'm thinking that they're going to want to set an example and get it right here. I'd be surprised if Man City get away with this.
Well,
however, I would be not surprised if they do get away with it, because there's a history of it. We've seen clubs cheating, and we know it happens. Cheating in sport happens, and as you just alluded to, what we saw with Red Bull, you know, the most blatant cheating has been got away with in sport. And that it's not just F1. There's numerous sports. So I would not be surprised if they get away with it.
Yeah, the biggest thing, as I said to you guys before, is there will be multiple charges following this from all the other teams. It's something we've seen last year. Cast your mind back to last year. Burnley and Leeds were putting a claim together against Everton in regards to their financial scenario. It's happening as we speak, guys. Teams are looking at other teams because if you're seeking an advantage, you're cheating.
Yeah. But and that's what I'm thinking. People are going to look at Newcastle and almost try to dig up dirt because, listen, how can they do this? How can Newcastle do this? How can Nottingham Forest come in and be spending more money than us at Crystal Palace? You know, and all of these questions are going to be raised. And I think there is, I mean, after a while it will settle down, but I think there's going to be some sort of turmoil and there's going to be a ripple effect across the league. Especially you hear, I mean, even Klopp and Pep complaining about what Chelsea is doing and all of that. I mean, when I look at even Arsenal increasing spending, I also believe, like, listen, Arsenal was willing to spend close to 80 million on Madrid. They were willing to spend 70 million on Caicedo. After that, having purchased players, you're thinking like, hold on. I mean, could there be something there? Because you're not known for this. And once teams begin to see this, then those questions will be raised, I believe. Right? But Chris, was it Queen's Park Rangers that some time ago they were fined $50 million for breaches, and they have never recovered? I don't know if they have. Maybe they have paid off all the money, but the club, because of that fine, went on a decline. Could the fine be so? Is there any amount of money that could be adding all the years up that could cause, just on financial fine alone, cause a similar decline with City? Or they are too rich for this to happen?
They're too rich. I think. Apollo? I think they're too rich because I don't think there's a numerical number you could put on that could be considered reasonable. Yeah. So let's just say, even at the worst case scenario, you was to go, okay, 100 million fine. They could pay that.
Yeah, of course they could, and that's the reason why I don't think they'll do a fine, because I don't think they'll do a fine. But I'll go back to my old statement that I just made. They made the Premier League and the FA look like fools. They did it with eating a steak sandwich and having a beer in their hand. They were laughing at you, and the truth is out now. They could have kept this under the cover and been embarrassed by it. Sometimes when someone does you wrong, like say for instance, if a con man got to you and conned you out of $1,000, would you go out there saying, guys, I just got conned out of $1,000? Or would you go home with your tail between your legs feeling embarrassed and, oh, I don't want anyone to know what happened to me because I feel ashamed? So there's that little thing there. The Premier League could have swept this under the carpet and said, oh, you know what, they're too powerful, they got too much money, we're going to sweep this under the carpet. No, they didn't. They decided to make an example of City. You go on to Talk Sport, all you hear about is how people want to rinse them, skin them alive, hang them from the tree. Yeah? People want justice. And this thing, as the further this thing goes along, the more justice that people are going to want. And they've opened up a can of worms, and I think they're going to go down. They can't hide anymore. The rules are different. The courtroom's different. The prosecutors are different. The way how you got away with this in the past, you ain't going to be able to use that again. I think that they're going to go down, and I think they need to go down for the safety and well-being of our sport. Yeah,
and I mean, you have other teams like I don't think PSG is very far from from City in terms of their own because they're under investigation as well, whether or not anything. I mean, it's governed by a different body in France, and maybe nothing will come out of that because that's there. Burst from 5 says it's a toy for the Middle Eastern owners, not all the foreign owners. The U.S. owners are business, I think, men who want return on investment. All right, but we see Arsenal are American owned, Fulham American ownership, Leeds
11.
Liverpool.
11 owners.
11 owners, American owners. But but Liverpool seem like they're changing hand. United is American owned as well. They are. It's like the whole ownership structure in the Premier League is revolving again. Like again, I want to ask the question: where are the British billionaires and millionaires running clubs? Why aren't they? I know one owns. There is one who I think he wanted to buy one of the clubs. He owns a team in France as well. Oh my Lord, how could I forget his name? He owns. Is it Reims in France or Rennes? He owns a team in Liga in France, but he's a British billionaire. I think he wanted to purchase one of the top 6 clubs that were, maybe it's Liverpool or Chelsea or United. But where are they, sir? He sir somebody. I don't know if any of you remember the name, but he owns a team in France. Of that I'm sure. But he's an English billionaire.
So, well, Michael Platt's worth 10 billion. Jim Radcliffe is probably the richest person.
Sir Jim Radcliffe.
Yeah. He's the richest person in England, 25 billion, yeah, which is somewhere around $40 billion. $40 billion. These guys, I always say, when you're a billionaire, you're one of the smartest people in the world because you've learned to earn that money. Whether you're Elon Musk or whether you're Amazon owner or whatever, Bezos, you've learned to earn that money, which makes you quite smart. Owning a football team has a lot of diminishing returns, and it's not for everybody. It might seem like it is because of the big celebration and TV rights and all this stuff, but it's not for everybody. And especially with the amount of feedback, sometimes when you own a company and you're paying staff to make them all happy, you can just give them a 10% pay rise, all done. You can't do that with football fans. If you're bottom of the league and you've spent 200 million on players, no amount of money you give to the fans is going to make them shut up. It don't work like that. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is football is not for everybody. And for Jim Radcliffe and Michael Platt and Hugh Grosvenor, some of the top 5 richest men in it, football's not for them. It's not their thing. Some of these guys are into horses. They love horses. Yeah, look at Arsene Wenger. When he retired, what was the first thing he did? He got into football. Alex Ferguson, when he retired, he went to his horses. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
That's good. All right. So tell us a little bit about. I mean, you're part of All or Nothing, the whole Arsenal. Inside Arsenal scoop. Give us some scoop on that, and how important that is to the club, and what was your role in that?
Well, obviously, my role was, in terms of part of the production, was to get the interview process sorted out. They looked at my channel, they looked at various other channels, and they thought that my channel was exactly what they needed. I created a community over a time, various in terms of Facebook presence and everything else. We had people there, and I invited them onto the forum. I invited them onto the YouTube channel, so they watched all my videos. They came into the forums and was reading all of the conversations and the threads, and they loved it. And the one thing that they saw that I had, which was different from other YouTubers, some YouTube channels, it's just one guy. It's just one guy with one opinion, and that's it. Arsenal Fan TV is probably the biggest in the world, over 1 million subscribers. But there's a lot of divide on that channel, and there's not enough sort of rotation in terms of everyone saying the same views. If you come onto my channel and then we lose. There's always an analytical point of view. And sometimes on other channels, there isn't an analytical point of view. There's just ranting for the sake of ranting. And I think what they found with 101 is they liked the intelligence, the analytics, the feedback. And also, this is the most important thing, they loved the love for the club. They saw that everybody would die for their team in terms of the word support. They loved that. So I gave them a list of fans from different ages, different backgrounds, male and female, some 65 years old, others as young as 15, because that's what they were looking for. And a lot of the people who was interviewed through the process, including myself, featured on the series and did all the interviews with them. And that was something that I think was really special. Being at London Coney, at the training ground, all those things, very, 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 very special. And still good friends with a lot of the guys in their production team, still very good friends with the production team. We talk all the time. And they've let me know if they need my services again, they'll call me. I'll be the first person that they call. So yeah, awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. And I know Tottenham did their own as well. Tottenham also had something like that. So a couple of the teams are doing this. Is this a new move by the clubs? I think there's also a Sunderland Till I Die series as well. I think City did something as well.
I think what it was is Arsenal are very old-fashioned. Everybody knows, everyone who's an Arsenal fan knows they work within a tight budget. They have a sustainability model, which will never change, regardless of what any fans want. It will never change. They always believe their saying is, Arsenal create talent, we don't buy it. Even though a little bit of that is being mixed now.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the most multicultural stadium in the world. We have more females in that stadium and people of color than any other stadium in the world. If anybody comes from Europe, America, or anywhere, and they walk into the Emirates, you will never see an atmosphere like that anywhere else in the world. So it's renowned for that. The whole Arsenal feeling is just great, and the club know that. And in the talks that we had with them, they've now come down and surveyed all the season ticket holders because they're listening. So they now started doing, I put something up on our Facebook channel yesterday about the new season tickets. So they're changing how that works as well. And all it goes to show is that they're listening. We're now in talks with Arsenal about doing YouTube channels every week with the players and interviewing the players, asking them questions and stuff like that. They're looking into doing all of this because it's something that we want. Yeah. So I think that it's brilliant. The first thing Arteta said when he took over the team is, I want to change the fan experience. We need the fans back. And he's definitely done just that.
Yeah. All right. So when you know, I knew that he had confirmed to come on, I kind of reached out to find out what is the one thing that you'd love for them to answer. And the main thing is this: the players who have Caribbean connection, especially Jamaica, that probably has the most. Why aren't they coming to play for the Caribbean nations instead of England? And then some of them don't get selected for England, or they play one game or two games when they could have helped Guyana to qualify, Jamaica to qualify, Trinidad to qualify. We have a call coming in from a Gunners Boss. I'm going to take that and then we'll get to the question. Gunners Boss, welcome to I Am Sure Sports.
Pick up yourself. I don't know if you're taking call today because I hear these distinguished analysts and guests from over than the thing. So we just want to chirp it still. Because if you notice, most of what them say about the Manchester City thing, you know, is a thing when we listen to, you know. Big up on yourself, Tony and the next man there.
Respect.
Tony and Apollo.
Yeah, Apollo. Yeah. None of them not come from New Cross or Stoke Newington, so I'm not gonna know them. Are them not come? Yeah, okay.
Listen, I'm a Wembley boy. Born and raised, I'm a Wembley boy. My home is 5 minutes from the stadium, Wembley Stadium.
I used to go to the stadium and go on a rooftop and Victoria Avenue and watch the games in the stadium back in the 90s.
Yeah. I could see the stadium from my bedroom as a little boy.
Let me ask you, is it Victoria Street or Victoria Avenue? That one that's run adjacent to the stadium.
Yeah, Victoria
Avenue. That's
yeah,
that's the road Clyde lives on.
Yeah.
I used to live on that road. I used to live next door to George Stavro on the same road.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, well that's my hood. I come through that hood before. But anyway,
we know that area very well.
Come on, at my place, I used to go up on my family house. He got a house over there, and we used to go over there and glimpse over at the stadium. Couldn't see much, but we could see a little bit.
Yeah,
but
excellent.
But moving right along now. Let me ask you a question. Premier League, English Premier League, who owns the league?
Who owns the league?
Yeah, who owns the league? Well, the Premier League is a body. So, which is, I said earlier on in the show, the Football Association runs British football. The Premier League own the Premier League. So, a Premier League is a brand, it's a company, they own the actual league. They were the ones who bought it originally and was in conjunction with Sky. So, they brought Sky into it, and that's where all the money's come from.
So, the Premier League, let's say the Premier League is a franchise like KFC. It's owned. How much clubs in the Premier League? 22?
20.
All right. So the Premier League is owned by 20 billionaire owners, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me tell you something now. It's a bad precedent when the league starts to take away team. Remember the league commissioner, his bosses are the 22 owners who own these, put up their money and own these clubs. So none of them want to see clubs being taken away. Say, for instance, in the NFL, Terry Jones does not want to see that guy from over by Washington, as bad as he is. They don't want to see him lost his team uncertain. It have to be extra bad, like with Abramovich and the Russian team. If it wasn't for Putin and that Russian team, not lose that. Because they did not want him to lose that team. Because if you start doing that, it will happen to everybody. And owners are saying, I can be the one next. And if I help you group up against 18 of us group up against one or two, this thing will happen to us as we go along. So this is it with City thing now. It have to be very heinous for anything really serious comes out of it, So I agree with the man who said they are gonna sweep it down at the rub sooner than later.
No, nobody said that. Nobody said that.
That's what it's gonna be, because these are the billionaires boys club, and they are not trying to embarrass each other.
Yeah, I can understand that. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised. I do expect them not to get away with it, but I would not be surprised if they did get away with it.
Man. All right. Do you know? Do any of you know of someone named David Sampson?
David Sampson.
Yes.
It doesn't ring a bell.
I know.
All right.
I know David, and I know Samson.
All right. Samson was the manager. He is. I don't know if he's still married to the daughter, but he was this. Let's say was. He was the son-in-law of Jeff Loria, the owner of the Jeffrey Loria
Philadelphia
of the Miami Marlins before. No, man, that's Loria. Loria different from Loria. This one was the owner of the Miami Marlins, and they sold it. But before that, that was the Montreal Canadiens. Now, when they owned that team, this guy now, David Sampson, he was the son-in-law, so he was the top man in the organization, like his father-in-law by the team, and he was running it. He now works with NBC. He have this podcast named Nothing Personal with David Sampson. He been spilling the beans and the Abramovich and all these people things. I could have come on here and regurgitate a lot of things on this podcast, man, and make it sound like I'm this genius, because I listen to nothing personal religiously. And this is a man who was in the ownership and managerial position telling us everything about what's going on in the world of sports and how managers and owners do their thing. I am going to send Manning's man later on when I reach home his podcast and the Manchester City and the Chelsea affair of business from back then and what's going on now. And most of what I hear these two men from England saying, you know, is the things he's been saying, you know. Yeah. Most of what y'all said is the things he's been saying. But at the end of the day, he said it's not feasible for owners to gang up against owners and let them lose teams. So it's always a way for them to let their commission, you know, listen, let this one slide, man. Don't let it be too hard.
So
Can I jump in for 1 second? I think we sometimes confuse.
Gunners, boss. So, all right, I'm going to let Cranky speak. So, thank you for calling in, all right?
Let me know what I'm on the call. Nobody else never call me. Let me stay on the phone.
All right, no problem.
Anytime somebody in the comments want to call, all you got to do is tell me to circle. And make sure when you tell me to circle, you call Fresh God and Travis.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
It sounds like someone I should be playing dominoes with, man.
So I say this. I think we sometimes confuse Europe with the US and how people operate. Right? US sports team is oligopoly, and they all support each other until they do something really egregious, like the Clippers owner or the Phoenix owner, and things change. This is a whole different ballgame in the UK about how things work. These owners are not in bed together. I can't buy some of these things around how they're going to make certain decisions. If, first of all, you have relegation in the UK. So if you do something wrong, I don't mind you getting relegated. I'm supporting you getting relegated. Are you in the top six? You're in the top six, and you've dominated the Premier League for the last number of years with money which you spend in a way in which is not in accordance with the rules. Of course I want you out. I see no way they're going to get any support. Now, the big six are going to be silent a lot of times. They're just watching to see what happens. No, they're going to watch to see what happens. Let it play out. They don't want to be viewed as the person who's trying to get you out because they're part of the big six. But at some point, they're going to speak out if it doesn't go the way it should go.
Well, they spoke out yesterday, and Richard, you guys know who Richard Masters is, don't you? He's the chief, right? Yeah, he's the man in charge, responsible for all the team's management and owners. He said yesterday, Talk Sport Radio live, that 4 of the top 6 teams, where Arsenal were one of them, Man United were the other, Newcastle, Liverpool, they all, and Spurs, they were all pushing for Man City to get a harsh judgment on what had gone on. They were mortified.
Well, Apollo, my point is Apollo, they're not coming in the public domain and saying this. They're going through alternate means to make sure this is getting known.
That's why, Richard. And I do want to bring that up. What Bertram said is correct. I'm a Washington Redskins fan, now the Commanders. And their owner, Daniel Snyder, for years has been, I don't want to go too much into it, but he's been having issues with how they treat women, how they treat staff, and he's been fudging money as well. When it came to, hear the joke, when it was mistreating women, the owners never said nothing. When it was mistreating staff, the rest of the owners in the NFL never said nothing. When they found out he was fudging money, all the owners said, "Nah, we can't do this, man. He's got to go down."
It's about the money.
That's the thing, That's the thing, because they said Daniel have 2 books or 3 books, and he's stealing money. He's putting money from NFL games into concert and cooking the book. So you know what? It's a revenue sharing league, and he's robbing money from the rest of his partners. They don't want it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it. Yeah.
I'm gonna say one point though. Go ahead, boss.
Sarva now over there in Phoenix. He is too much, but all they know, all along, everybody know from he fired that former player who was over there. Everybody know he is nothing good. But until he started to get with the N-word and these things, to become a racist thing, nobody was worried about him.
So I want to address one, if I may, I want
Go on,
to
Tony.
address one of the points that you were asking earlier in your call, which was about why the Caribbean players are in the diaspora don't play for their national teams of their heritage. Quite simply, corruption. It's been documented over and over and over and over and over. Yeah. The way the organizations work in the Caribbean have been so corrupt that quite simply the players them have looked at the what they can do and gone, I'm not willing to go. I'm not willing to do that.
Do they feel a connection though? Do they feel like they're part of the Caribbean community?
No, they don't. And I'll tell you why.
I don't know about that, Apollo, because Sterling is a hardened Jamaican. He loves his Jamaican things.
Listen, Sterling's my cousin. You already know that. Yeah, okay. Sterling's married to my cousin Paige, so his family. Yeah, he's not my direct cousin, but he's married to my cousin.
All right, Piney. So thanks for calling.
I am Sterling. Yeah, man, I am Sterling, because Sterling is a part of me. Man, no one touch one more thing before me. Give me a minute, please. Yeah, man. I remember some day from the show. The day from the show started, I've been commenting on something.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
I'm saying this thing over Chelsea now with the American owner. It's not. He get ahead of the game. Now the Premier League have to catch up with him and what he's doing. Because if they don't, other teams is gonna get involved and start doing the same thing as soon as they go. Give them 2 years, they're gonna change the rule. But for now, he's doing what he's doing, like they do in the MLS and the NBA, MLB and the NBA and those other leagues in America. So bring America thing to there. So either them, the PPL or whoever governs these leagues is gonna change to his way of doing things or change it, but in order to restrict him.
All right,
Man's man. Let me just say one thing on that. I don't want to belabor the point. I want to go back to Apollo.
Yeah, man.
What he's doing is something that's done in accounting on a normal, everyday basis. He's not doing what he's doing though is unique to what happened in terms of how these things work out in Europe from a contractual situation and how you amortize player transfer fees. But that's regular accounting. That's done in different industries. People think like he has a loophole and he's so creative. No, he's doing something which some people don't want to do because I don't want to give Tony an 8-year contract. Tony may fail after his first 2 years. That may seem genius now, maybe not be genius tomorrow. So anyway, not to be able
I just wanted to finish off my thing on the British players in Jamaica. There was one thing that happened in 1998 in the French World Cup when Jamaica took part in it. After that World Cup, the word that we got out of Jamaica was that we only got there because of the help from the foreign. So a lot of English players and sportsmen and everything, they heard the conversations in Jamaica where they said, no, we don't want foreign helping us. We want just Jamaican players in there. And a lot of people in the UK who were Jamaicans didn't want anything to do with it. That's right. Fine. If you don't want our help, we help you get there in the first place. But if you don't want our help now, una go on and una get to the World Cup by yourself. So there was a divide that was created. Tony was right about obviously what happened with corruption.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about my parents are Jamaican. A lot of my friends' parents are Jamaican. And if you're in sports and they're saying they don't want your help, fine. I'll go and play for England instead. And that has never stopped. That is even in conversations I have with players today who have Jamaican heritage. So I'm just putting it out there because I don't think a lot of people in Jamaica understand the effects and the fallout of what happened in 1998.
Wow. We never heard it from that perspective. Bert was trying to call. So I'm going to call him back so he can come on. And then we're going to pick up on this because I've never heard it from that perspective.
Hello?
Yeah, man. All right, this is Bert. Bert, welcome to the show. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, bro. Good evening.
Yeah,
Good evening. Good evening.
Bert
Good evening to them guys, too.
Yeah, man. Bert is diehard Liverpool. All right? So go ahead.
What's going on with your team, bro?
I came on late, you see?
Yeah.
I mean, all them guys talking, they make some good points.
They're
First of
asking.
all,
Hold on. Apollo is asking what happened to your team.
they're not having a good season. Everybody knows that. Them things, also go. That's why going on.
Yeah.
Them things happen in football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But remember, say I follow them for years, and they never win a title for about 30 years, and I still follow them. So really, really, and I didn't have to because I'm not from England, but I chose to. But anyway, just something what Gunners boss I said about you have to remember, first of all, America is a franchise. Them don't have clubs, them have franchises. And there's no relegation, and them share money, them have revenue sharing and all of that stuff. So, and then to take away a team from an owner, you need a certain number of owners to vote before you can take the team. So it's a bunch of different rules. It's not the same thing like European football. It's not the same thing. It's completely different.
Okay, so it would benefit the American teams to keep the owners because it's a franchise. And
it's like a group of people. It's like a closed club, and them don't get relegated. So even if and them have revenue sharing, so even if a team is doing very bad, them still get them money. But in football, because you have relegation and stuff, and because people competing for players and club lose money, if a man own a team and him know say him lose money and get relegated because of the actions of another club owner that is not basically legal, they're gonna fight against that. We can't use American sports system for all football thing. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's a completely different thing.
But I know
your money sure in American sports, when you own a team.
Yeah. I also know you're into finances and stuff, but so what is your take on the City situation? Listen to what Tony
all right, I don't remember where your guest name, and because I come on late, I don't remember the name. But one of them was saying he's kind of skeptical about if they will get it. He wouldn't be surprised if they are not punished, right?
Yeah, I think Tony said that. Yeah.
All right, but listen to this now. They might have some independent panel who's supposed to hear the case, like a set of judges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if the Premier League didn't want to punish Man City, they didn't have to bring the charges against them, and we wouldn't know anything. You see what I say? We wouldn't know anything. They wouldn't have to bring no case against them.
All right. So why would they not going to charge them?
Yeah.
If they don't want to see them being punished in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but I think what you have to...
They didn't have to do anything,
but what I think you have to remember, my friend, is the amount of charge them catch.
Exactly.
Yeah? It's not 1, 2. It's a whole heap of charge them catch, you see.
Yeah.
You can't put that on the carpet.
Yeah, listen, it's like if you go down Mr.
But you guys are missing his point though. His point is this. If the Premier League want to hide this, they could have just ceased when UEFA investigation went to CAS and it was worked out that City got fined a few £1 million. They could have stopped there. They went through a whole
Premier League investigation.
No, I know. But the point he's trying to make is that if the Premier League didn't intend to bring charges and have them penalized, they wouldn't have publicized this. They wouldn't have gone through the whole. They would have said, "You know what? UEFA did their thing. They didn't get found guilty. Let's move on." What he's saying is that that's not the case. They want to penalize them. Yeah.
And don't forget, this is only come about because in the 2018, the leaked emails is what started the whole process again. Exactly. This died. Yeah. This whole process died in 2017. In 2018, when the leaked emails come out, all of a sudden, the people who are investigating suddenly went, hang on a second. Now we got a whole lot of new stuff. We gone again. Let's look at the whole thing again.
And this is why I'm saying I brought the owners into the argument, because you are now taking money out of Josh Kroenke and Stan Kroenke's pocket. What you did to get an advantage cost Arsenal a Champions League space last year. So Arsenal lost 42 million. So teams are going to start to take them to court for loss of earnings. There's a lot of legs this thing has got.
Customer, please scan the barcode on your scan it or scan it.
To me, it's
Nice
like,
man, you have a lady on your channel.
No, so he's at the store.
Hold on, we forget about that. You know,
Salty voice change. Salty voice change, man.
Hold on. I didn't know you guys could pick up that. You hear the thing a while ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please scan your item. Turn it to the barcode. He likes self-checkout,
You know, I'm actually at the supermarket self-checkout.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, they want to punish them, man. But if City gonna beat the charge, it would have to be like the independent panel or give them a blind then. That is all. But the Premier League itself, based on the facts of them bringing charges against them, I would say they're serious about what they're doing.
Yeah, this is unprecedented, my friend.
What they're doing.
Yeah.
It's never been done before. This is unprecedented. Teams have lost millions and millions. And Man City have earned millions and millions because of the skullduggery that they were doing. They've earned millions and millions.
Yeah, look, I think if you spend 4 years to investigate someone, that means you took your time to make sure the evidence will stick when you do bring the charges, right? Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have brilliant lawyers.
Okay.
It doesn't mean they're not brilliant lawyers who can poke hole in some of these things, but you spend your time to be very diligent and very thorough in gathering the evidence to make sure that whatever may be out there that preclude you from getting the verdict you're looking for, you're making sure that your evidence can hold up in an environment like an independent panel.
Yeah,
so I'd be very surprised if City doesn't get penalized. I'd be very shocked, actually.
Yeah, big up Trinidad in the house, Trinidad and Tobago. The UK government is indicating they would assign a regulator to the EPL. Is this responsible for the action of the league?
No. The UK government has got nothing to do with that, and the UK government can't stand. I've got no legs to be talking about regulator because they can't even regulate themselves.
Yeah, they got no jurisdiction.
I think they did an independent study, and I think it's on the cards for their regulator to come in. My only problem with that is, as Tony's saying, NHS is going out of business and you want to come regulate something. You're struggling to manage your infrastructure and your own business. And I think the whole thing is about how much money comes to the Premier League and it's not trickling down to grassroots football. They want a different determination and dissemination of funds, but they got to manage their own house first. Go look in the mirror before you come try to regulate people's league.
I think that was in last year they were bringing up those talks. But I want
no management. It's happening now. Actually, it's happening.
It's happening now. Okay, listen, people. It is very late in the UK, right? And Apollo and Tony are on. I don't want them to overstay the time when I don't get them back on. But 101 and Arsenal is their podcast. You can go on YouTube and find it and subscribe and listen to them, right? But because I want to get back to this player, this Caribbean player and stuff. I heard both things about how the people felt since 1998, But after that, we have had people like Wes Morgan and Joby McAnuff, Garrett McCleary, a lot of these guys, Jermaine Beckford. I mean, a lot of these guys, up to recent, Mikel Antonio came, Ethan Pinnock, all of these guys, Ravel Morrison, Bobby Reed. But there is still this disconnect, right, between what happens in the Marlon King, all of them over there and here. Like, we are not. It's like, I don't know if you believe, like in the United Kingdom, do you believe that we are Jamaicans and Jamaica, because Jamaicans sometimes, who probably have not been exposed to travel and all of that, don't feel like the people outside of Jamaica are Jamaicans.
Yeah, so can I address this one? Because I think you have to look at generations. Apollo and I are of a generation one removed. Both our parents came from the Caribbean. Yeah. The players that are playing football now, their parents are British. So there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of those children today playing football have got no single iota of family remaining in the Caribbean, or they have no connection to anybody that is still living in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So hence why we have a disconnect now.
What needs to happen though? Because I'm sure that most of these players probably will not, meet the England side or England team.
It's about being appreciated for what you've done. There's a comment from Chris Smith here saying Kevin Williams, up to today, Dean Burton feels unappreciated how Jamaica dealt with him. And that is it in a nutshell. It's not only did they go there and help them be a part of the World Cup, but then to afterwards say, we don't need you, we don't need your help. Of course, they felt unappreciated, and that trickles down. And if you look at nearly every other international team, you got black man born in another country playing for Germany. You got a Brazilian guy playing for Japan. You got all this stuff is going on. The world is becoming smaller. People are coming together. Jamaica's going the other way because you can't even come out there and embrace people from your forefathers and the ancestors and all of that. You can't embrace them. And I think that we shouldn't, our motto is out of one is many, right? If it's out of one is many, why isn't the foreign players welcomed into the Jamaican national team? There's something seriously wrong with that. And it's hurting them.
Yeah. Yeah, Cranky, what say you? Because I know this is very dear to your heart. So this is kind of discussion that you're.
I think to me it's a larger issue, right? When people migrate from their mother or fatherland to another country, you're gonna lose that connectivity because you have your own daily lives. I do think what one needs to emulate is what Israel does. So most Jewish people feel connected to Israel, and most of Israel resources come from the U.S. and other places around the world, not generated in Israel. And if you're Israeli, if your parents are Israelis, you automatically become an Israeli citizen no matter where you're born. That concept and togetherness and construct need to be something that other countries adopt, especially countries like ours adopt, and work to make sure there's continuous connectivity. As Tony says, as the generations continue, you're going to be far and far away from where you were originally. How do I keep that alliance? How do I keep that connectivity? How do I keep that engagement? It has to be that you're reaching out directly, not indirectly, to bring that population in and part of your organization. And you can use different means of doing so, but we don't, as a country, we're very disorganized anyway as a people.
I'm not going to say disorganized. I don't want to hurt you guys' feelings.
No. Apollo. I'm on my soapbox. Let me stay on my soapbox. We are disorganized as a people, as black people in general, the most disorganized, disenfranchised people across the planet. And there's a hierarchy across the planet. Now, I can go into my diatribe here. We're not part of that. We are, what we don't seem to understand is this. Look at the war in Europe, for example. There are wars in Africa 24/7. Where is that alliance being made to manage those situations? We have countries here contributing to a people who look like them to try to manage that. We don't do that with our people, any parts of the world. We don't come together and say, you know what, a black person is dying. With Nickel in Memphis. Because we're not viewed to be valuable and important. So you got to start somewhere. And my view is, as it relates to the Caribbean football, and I'm going off the tangent here a little bit, footballers, which is, if you have that connectivity, I'm going to feed an alliance and the ability to engage. Nigeria is a good example, for example. Here, Balogun say he would play for Nigeria. Balogun is born in the US. His parents are Nigerian and he grew up in England. We don't have players of that stature, so they want to play for this country when they're that young. It won't be when they play for Nigeria right away. Some countries, like Nigeria, can bring their kids in earlier because they feel an affiliation to it, coming from their parents. We need to create that same sense of connectivity. And we haven't done so. Until you do so, you have the Kyle Walkers and the Walcott and others want to play for Jamaica when they're 20, 21, 22. They probably play like Antonio does when they reach 30 and they know they won't get to the England team. Yeah. And that's why Tony and Apollo, that's why we start talking about Mason Greenwood, given his age and his ability, say, can we get him early if he's exonerated from his charges?
Man is man. I just want to say something which I don't think that many Jamaicans can comprehend. Yeah. There's one thing. I study a lot of geography and Jamaicans. Everywhere I go around the world, I see Jamaicans. I travel a lot. I collect shot glasses for every country that I go to, and I have 40 shot glasses above my head in my office. So I travel to a lot of places, and everywhere I go, I see Jamaicans. My point is this. Jamaicans who live in Jamaica have no idea how big Jamaica is. They really don't.
Yeah.
You know what the population of Jamaica is, right? It's 3 million.
For the last 30 years. For the last 30 years.
Do you know
the geographical borders? Yeah.
Right. So let me explain something to you now. Yeah. There is under 1 million Jamaicans in the UK. There's 1.2 million Jamaicans in America. There's another 1 million in Canada. So in just those 3 countries, you have more Jamaicans outside of Jamaica than in Jamaica.
Absolutely.
And I don't think Jamaicans understand that. Every time I go to Jamaica, I went there 4 years ago, was the last time I went there. And I was telling Jamaicans that, and they couldn't believe it. They could not believe it. They was like, what are you talking about? That's the only country in the world where you will find that there are more people that live in foreign shores from that country than the people that are living there themselves. That's how this out of one come many. You're right, because we are everywhere.
Yeah.
The problem is if you're not embracing those Jamaicans that are outside of Jamaica, how on earth can we get something right with our football team?
Yeah.
The mindset of the people in Jamaica has to change. They have to be more embracing. They call us foreign.
No, I think Apollo, Manisman, and Tony, I think what happens is this. The view is that if you bring in foreign players who maybe have the better skill set than Jamaican players, denying Jamaican players an opportunity.
We have to change the conversation. You just said, Cranky, if you bring in foreign players who are better than Jamaican players.
But you know what I'm talking about.
No,
foreign-born players. I know what you're saying. Foreign-born players of Jamaican heritage, right?
Yeah.
The view in Jamaica, at least what I've heard, is that you're taking, I'm going to use a colloquial term, food out of a local player's mouth, meaning they won't get the opportunity to play for their country, they won't get the visibility that they want them to get, and therefore going to generate income from their skill, right? And it's a legitimate concern that one should have. But I do think you can try to find a way to marry the two, which is, yes, want to give you exposure. And there's a lot of local competition that plays against local teams, play overseas when you have different windows not available to get that exposure. If you're good enough, hopefully you can export your skill to allow you to get there. We don't have the infrastructure in Jamaica, as we do in England and some other industrialized countries, to develop the players that you'd like to at the level they need to get to compete on the world stage holistically. But I do believe there has to be a coming together to figure out what's the best approach going forward versus what we have today, which is a situation where I wouldn't call it animosity, but you don't have that same level of collaboration and engagement that you'd like to have with the Jamaican community globally.
Agreed.
As it relates to football, actually.
Yeah, but sure, Improvement made this point, right? He said, is Sterling appreciated by England? And he says, my answer is no. He's tolerated, right? So
that's true, actually.
The reverse is actually true, that some of these players, I don't think John Barnes is as appreciated as an English player during his time of playing.
No, none of them are.
No, but there's a difference though. John Barnes grew up in a time when we know how that was then, right? It's a whole different time period. But when John Barnes played back in the 80s, we know how that time period was. Sterling was actually born in Jamaica, as we all know, but he's never been truly appreciated by a lot of English personnel. He hasn't been appreciated. Some players more so than others, right? But he hasn't been appreciated. So I'd agree with that sentiment.
But the point I'm making though is I think for the most part, the players who probably could represent the Caribbean, I don't know. I don't think Rashford is appreciated in the way that, in my opinion, that Mason Mount is when it comes on to the England team?
I think, yeah.
I would
I
agree
don't,
with that.
yeah.
I would agree with that.
I think, for example, like Ivan Toney has to be exceptional to get in over a Bramford. When Bramford, I believe, could probably be ordinary and get in over a Toney. So the point is, I agree that we need to embrace all Jamaicans, but and all the Caribbean need to do that. But the truth is, the players who could, Sancho is the next one who could play for Trinidad and Tobago. He plays for England. Is he as appreciated there? And would he have been appreciated if he were playing for Trinidad? And that's kind of what I'm trying to understand. Like,
so I just want to tie this up in a nutshell, just to let everybody understand. Look, we don't need English people to appreciate them. The black people appreciate them. The black people who were born in this country and raised like myself. A lot of Jamaicans have to put themselves into our shoes. When we grew up under Jamaican parents, we saw English clubs as our clubs. We saw the English national team as our team. And as we got older and wiser, and we saw the face of racism, we started to support our motherland teams. Right now, I've covered the World Cup with Tony and Ebony and all of the other guys and Bertram, and they know my stance on it. I used to wear England shirts. When I was growing up, I was 10 years old, 15 years old. I used to cheer on Kevin Keegan. I used to wear their shirt. As I got into my 20s, all I buy is Jamaica Reggae Boys shirt. When the 98 World Cup was going on and England was playing, I went to go see the Reggae Boys. Wherever I saw English fans, I went the other way. I did not want to associate myself with them. When we did the World Cup and we were streaming England games and everything. I made it known clearly, that because of the level of racism, I refuse to support this team. And I wish the black players did well there, and I support them. But I'm a Jamaican Reggae Boy supporter first and foremost. And that's the situation with a lot of black people in the UK.
Yeah. Awesome. But a good example is that Jamaica just had the launch of their new kit and everything was sold out completely. Oh, look at that. Guyana. The Jaguars, the Guyana Jaguars. There you go.
The next rich country to waste their resources.
I thought you was going to say to host the World Cup.
They're going to be like Trinidad, I have money not to know what to do with it.
Yeah, but I love that because you guys are absolutely right, because almost all of those jerseys were purchased by people who live outside of Jamaica. They get to Jamaica and they're all sold out.
Yeah.
The site crashed. And trust me, it wasn't like people living in the geographical space trying to get it.
Yeah. Man, the first time my brother came over England when he was 27. We didn't grow up together, and he was a stranger to me because I didn't know him. When he came over to live here at 27 years old, the first thing I did was take him to Stonebridge, Harlesden, and I took him to Brixton. And he never knew. He heard stories, never seen snow before. When he saw England, he thought everybody was going to be white and everybody was going to speak like the Queen. When I took him to the proper areas, he did not realize how rich it was here. He felt like Jamaica was home, and he's been living here ever since.
Whoa. Yep. And see, before the game from Trinidad says, imagine this. We are discussing whether we appreciate our own people that lives abroad. But Peter Gould said in an interview, he's in Jamaica because he feels comfortable there. Why is that? Peter Gould he was a part of the Chelsea board before Roman bought it, and he has come back to Jamaica and he has bought a club here that is in the top league, and he has spent the most money in Jamaica's football history on a local club building academy and all of that. And I know in the interview we did with him, we asked him if he's making a profit, and he said, "Profit? I only know a little boy named Profit." But he loves the island. But I know it's touching into midnight here, guys. So I want you to tell the people again about your, where they can find you and when is your next show, so they can go and subscribe and join. And then but we have to do this again, people. If you want them to come back on, listen, you have lots of thumbs up, right? You have to let me know. Do you want Apollo 101 and Tony to come back onto the show? Let me see some thumbs up, right? I'm not asking about Cranky, right? I'm not sure you really what, because he's the only one here without hair on his head, all right? So he's not allowed to come back until he grows some hair on his head, right?
I shave every day. I shave twice a day, man. I shave my head twice a day. Remember that.
Oh man! Excellent.
Yeah, man. But
no, thanks for having us, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and tell him again. Go ahead, Tony, and tell all the I Am Sure fans. See all the thumbs up, right? So we're going to count. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Man, you can count past 10. Remember, know that you can't count past 10.
No, what I need to hear from you is if I actually counted it right.
So, guys, check out our channel. Our channel is 101 on Arsenal, and you can find it on YouTube. And we welcome all of you guys. Welcome your opinions. We're a community base, so we love everybody, man. Bertram's like a brother to us. I've been trying to get over to New York so I can go and see him. My wife is a walker, so she wants to do Central Park. But we're going to make that happen at some point, Bertram.
Yeah. We have Sauti, who called earlier, is back on the phone. He has checked out, he has gotten all his grocery, so he called back. So before you leave, go ahead, Sauti.
Yeah. I checked out the supermarket. But listen, I want to ask them guys a question before the whole supermarket incident. I want to ask them their opinion, like if this thing turn out like Manchester City get found guilty, and maybe not all of the charges, but some of them, and them get some sort of punishment, especially the more serious one, about cookbooks and stuff. How do you think that affect like Pep legacy?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, he made his name before he even turned up to Man City. So, and let's be fair, he didn't win a Champions League with Bayern Munich. He ain't one with Man City. So whatever legacy he's got now is the same legacy he had when he came into Man City. So I don't think it will affect it a lot. He'll just walk in to another team like
people. People gonna look at him time in England differently and say, "Boy, him dope up, him get him." It's like a jockey get a battery for ride a horse.
Yeah, no, I don't think it will, because remember, they betrayed Pep, they betrayed the scouts, and they betrayed the players. This is what the owners have done. Yeah, so we have to look at Pep as a victim, not as someone who's who instigated.
And how many of the Pep years are in the period of the investigation? That's the next question.
Well, it's got to be 4 years.
Maybe about 3.
Yeah. 3 or 4 years.
It's up to the season 2017-2018, inclusive of that season.
You're right, because and in that time, I think only one title he won with them.
Yeah, because they won. Yes, you're correct, because they won.
I think it's only one title during the time of the investigation. Pep only won one title with them,
That's correct, because Pellegrini and Mancini won the other 2
by 1 point.
Right, the one that he won Liverpool by 1 point is the only one he actually won during the period of the investigation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if one.
No, man, beat Jose Mourinho, man. Beat Manchester United, finished second one time.
That was 22. That was the year before the pandemic.
Yeah, that doesn't count. The three titles they won was with Pellegrini, Pep, and Roberto Mancini.
Yeah, I don't know how to evaluate Pep's time with Man City. Man City won with Pellegrini. Man City won with Mancini. They're not considered to be elite managers, even though Mancini won the Euro with Italy. Pep won with the best players. He had the best players in Germany, because Bayern always win. They didn't win the Champions League. He was there for 3 years. He's only won the Champions League with Messi. Klopp has done differently. Klopp took a team, didn't have the same level of players and skill set, and has won the Champions League, won the Premier League. So I'm not sure how you judge Pep's legacy, even though Pep has two teams. The team in England that has the most money, most time wins the league.
Yeah.
Man U had the most money for years. They won. Chelsea then came with the most money, Abramovich. They won. Man City had the most money. They won. Except for maybe Liverpool. All the other teams for the last 20 years subsequent to when we won with the Invincibles, they had the most money, normally win.
And Leicester as well.
And Leicester, sorry. Leicester was an aberration, though. Leicester was an aberration.
Yeah, I think 2018 is the only title that Pep won during that time.
So when did he beat?
Yeah, but Mannings, but you can't judge it that way. You can't judge it that way, Mannings, man. Because that's almost like saying it's a new team subsequent to those years. That's not how it works.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, last thing before me leave still. Listen, them guys, them interested on stuff. So you ask the people them to give thumbs up if they want them back. When me I say me, I would want them back, but me not listen to them podcast. Right now, I'm not for the Arsenal something.
No.
Which team do you support? Which team do you support?
Liverpool. You know what I do?
No, man. Let him answer.
No.
Which team do you support?
No.
Make him answer. Which team do you support?
I think Cracky pulling it up.
Yeah, but listen.
I think you should stop watching football this year.
Hey.
You should stop watching football this year. Just wait till next year.
Hey, listen, brethren. I already done tell you that Friday night is a Premier League show, not an Arsenal show. So if you're a Liverpool fan, you better tune in.
Don't tune to any podcast. Liverpool fan. No podcast for a Liverpool fan. No podcast. Just stay away from football. Stay away from football.
Hold on, man.
Cranky, Lord, man.
Cranky. I listen to guys. I listen both of them, and I think they make good points. I think they can be listened to. But me just want to listen to Arsenal show. So
I know.
No, what the man is saying is a Premier League show. No, I'm going to ask Manningsman to repeat the name of the podcast and stuff.
All right, let me tell you when I'd love for you to go, because you can even join them. I think it'll be good for this, because they're going to do the Champions League, I believe. Liverpool versus Real Madrid. Because I think that your Liverpool going to actually do well this season. For some
Manningsman, you're trying to make him feel good.
Tony doesn't actually talk about
I have a feeling that when like Liverpool, and people call Liverpool my second team, but Liverpool is going to do well in the Champions League. That's just the feeling I have. That is going to be the highlight of their season. What they do in the Champions League. I would not be surprised if they knock out Real Madrid. Honestly,
he's got a point.
A pugilist boy. He's talking about fighting gloves.
What's the name of the thing again? What's the name of them thing again?
It's Premier League Forum, right?
The name of the channel
is on Saturday, right? Friday.
Yeah, the name of the channel is 101 on Arsenal. 101 on Arsenal.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
But the Friday night show is on Premier League Forum, right? When you go on YouTube, it's Premier League Forum. Oh, it's still the one? Okay.
101. 101. No, man. 101 on ON Arsenal. 101.
All right, cool.
Yeah, man. All right,
cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right, so cool.
Actually, somebody, Jason, has just put the link of the channel in there. So
yeah, I just saw that. Right. So the link is there. So go over and show them. Yeah. Respect.
Why are there so many Arsenal haters in the chat?
Kevin.
Why are there so many Arsenal haters in this chat?
Hey, listen, Kevin. I just want to say to Kevin about the Arsenal flag in the back. We have people from Newcastle, Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, Manchester United. We have different fans that come on the show and big up their team. and they have their flags in at the back. They
Let
wear
me
their
tell you,
shirts.
Apollo and Tony, let me tell you, this is showing that the people really appreciate people outside of Jamaica, because you see all these things you get away with, Cranky and I would not get away. So people like Kevin are not this nice, and Chris and all of this. They're not this nice. They are very, they have been very good. Big deal. When you see these guys laughing, they are not nice. It's just because you're.
We have guests. We have guests. We have guests. You have to be good for guests. Yeah.
Oh, and Jason is saying Liverpool can't beat us. This missing half the team as well. But Liverpool is missing half the team. I mean, most of the Liverpool defenders are out. Jota is out. And,
they've had a tough year with injuries. They've had a tough year with injuries.
So, But listen, I want to thank you guys for coming on again, man. Really, really appreciate the conversation. And Tony has not even sent back the link to me to come over and join you guys. I don't know why. I don't know why the fight. Tony,
I literally told Bertram on Saturday, I need to get you back. But
he
we'll
actually invited me to the watch along, and I said to him, listen, I can't do watch alongs because I'm going to get off his Arsenal is losing.
You sound like Bertram.
Yeah,
that's what Bertram does.
What Bertram does.
I just had this feeling like the Everton game was going to be one of those games. I just had this feeling like,
oh man,
it's too good to be true.
So one question: someone in chat is asking what we should do with Balogun.
Yeah,
nothing. Leave. I heard fans saying that they wanted to bring him back in January. Why? Look at the development.
I mean going forward, right? Because think about it this way: we have 3 strikers now, 3 very good strikers. If he comes back, he's going to be 3rd on the depth chart, and he won't be playing.
Yeah.
So the question is: do you bring him back? Do you sell him? Do you put him out on loan? What do you do with him?
No, you bring him back, and he's part of the 25.
I think you wait till the end of the season, Bertram, and see what he's done. Yeah, it's a great window of what he's done so far. But let's get the other half of the
No, that's not my point though. My point is this: if he keeps on the same trajectory and becomes the leading goal scorer in League One, comes back to Arsenal, he's gonna have certain expectation.
Yeah, but if he does what he's doing for the second half of the season. Yeah. Then he's got every right to come back to Arsenal and say, you know what, I want to be the number one striker.
Would you sell him and buy Leo?
Well, there's already been, I talked to the guys about it. There was a inquiry for him in January with AC Milan, talking about 36 million. And they said no. Roughly about the same price that was paid for Tammy Abrahams to Roma. And Arsenal turned AC Milan down. And the point of the matter is, he's worth more to Arsenal simply because he's doing exactly what Saliba did in the same league last year. Saliba won Young Player of the Year. I believe that Balogun will win the same award. And then you come back to Arsenal in the summer and show them your growth. That's how it works. This isn't something we haven't seen before, guys. We saw it with Saliba last year. It's playing out exactly the same way, and we just need to be patient with the process.
No, the point I'm making is, guys, I understand what you're saying, Apollo and Tony. The point I'm making is this.
Sell our keep.
Players, when you go and play someplace and you perform really well, you have expectations. So project out going forward. He comes back, and Ketty is doing exceptionally well, even better than Jesus from a goal scoring standpoint. Jesus is the number 1 striker. Bagger comes back, his confidence all up. He's playing really well. Is he the 3rd striker? Or do you have them compete for the number 1 slot?
No, he can compete. He can compete for the number 1 slot. Let's be honest. Bertram.
Really?
Yeah, he can. Because every team has to have good depth. Yeah, there's no reason Jesus can play wing. Don't forget that. What's to say if Balogun's performances are that good in France, that he doesn't come in and take over Eddie's place?
Yeah, Nketiah plays wing as well, but Balogun doesn't. The reason why I don't agree with that is because you are building a 25-man squad. Balogun will have his place there as a 3rd striker. The reason being is because I don't think that those guys that are in there now who are doing it for the manager are exempt at losing their places. I think that this is the first 11 that hasn't been changed much. Outside of all the teams in the league, They play the same 11, game in, game out. When you're a guy like Trossard, you know you're sitting behind Martinelli, even though I think Trossard's probably better than Martinelli at this point. Yeah, Martinelli's gone through a little dip, but we know the talent is there. But right now, today, in the 8th of February, Trossard's playing better than Martinelli. But
I think
he won't drop
I think
Martinelli.
he's going to start again, Brentford.
I hope he does. Because he's the informed player. But my point is that we've seen where Arteta likes his starters, and whoever's on the bench will be on the bench. Look, Balogun will make us a stronger team on the bench. That's what he's there for. He'll give us a plan B, and he has his place in the team.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great point. So we will have to do this again, right? Remember, check out 101 on Arsenal with Apollo, Tony, Cranky's normally over there, and they have a whole lot. I think when I was on, there was what's his name from South Africa?
Yeah,
African
Guna, and a few others. There's someone else that was there. I don't remember. It was African Guna. Tony was the next person.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Vinci. Was it Vinci?
Vinci. See, I need to get your Twitter. If I get your Twitter link, then I'll be able to send you invites to some of the shows. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We can get all of that. Yeah, man. All right.
Cool.
You know what his Twitter man is, man? You know what Twitter is?
You know, like when the birds make the sound when they're
Oh.
You know, the issue is I haven't been on Twitter for a while. But listen, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Great show, people. Remember, before you go, make sure you go and subscribe to 101 on Arsenal, right? Apollo is there. The link, Jason has the link in the comment section. You can find it there. Want to thank Apollo for coming on, Tony as well. He took the train, but he got here early, right? The man who works from 6 until the work is finished, right? He never stopped working. That is why he keeps doing these videos from a different place in his house. You know how big it is?
From his mansion.
Yeah, 10 different living rooms. You understand?
Oh, God.
But it was a good one, and I want to thank you all for being a part of the show. Again, here Jason has put the link back up, so go and check it out, right? Hit the like button, subscribe to I Am Sure Sports if you have not done so yet. Tomorrow, remember, we have tomorrow is Thursday. We'll have Aaron Wildboy Lawrence, former Jamaican goalkeeper. On Friday, we're going to have, on Super Friday, a couple of interviews. One with Professor Rene Simo, is the one who coached the Jamaica national team to the World Cup. And also the Italian coach and author, Mauricio Lucchesi. He wrote a book about pressing, and he's going to come and talk to us about that on Friday. So if you're interested, you can join us. I am Management. This is I Am Sure Sports. And you know, when it gets to this point of the show, we say we are over and we are OUT out of here.
Yo, watch about dog. SK New Erdis. The body out there. Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Orchard Race, Galtigo Bay. Everywhere. I Am Sure Sports. Check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like? Ha. Yeah, someone on for the food from young, from where they knee height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.